there are two other issues here that I want to talk about, but they seem to be revolving around the same person. Equity now denies Ruto's 15 billion loan claims. Bank officials tell MPs no such amount was advanced to Uganda farm or to be deported to the deported Turkish businessman Harun Aydin. They say they have no idea. The deputy president was on video saying that he called Equity and they gave this guy a loan. Now Equity is saying we don't know that person and we didn't give anyone that loan.
Even before we get to that issue, let me, and I know that it's your job, Trevor, you'll forgive me, but Senator Chirangai, I have a question just for clarity from what you said. I think you, just for clarity so I can be able to respond properly, I think before the show, you're talking about the work that has been done in this government. I don't know, is it the success of this government, the infrastructure, the work that has been done, is that the work of William Ruto and Uhuru Kenyatta himself? I don't know.
Do you want me to answer now?
Yes, you can.
Yes. I can tell you most of the work that has been done, especially in the country, and you are aware and it is judicially noticed, is that most of the work was done between 2013 and 2017 when President Uhuru and Deputy President worked closely. But between now, between 2017 and 2018, what has Kenya achieved? BBI flopped. You know, President changed from Big Far agenda to BBI. If BBI succeeded, we would have counted as the legacy of the president. Yeah, but it hasn't succeeded because finally, Governor, even my own county, where I come from, almost, yes, the development, all national government projects, 5 roads who were supposed to be tarmac to bitumen standards, the contractors have run away. So the major project called Kebendap has stalled.
No, he's asking the project that succeeded.
So I'm asking the success.
Succeeded, yeah.
No, that is why I'm saying a number of projects succeeded, and we, of course, we can't mention them from 2013 to 2017. For example, let me use my county, because I'm well fast. One tarmac road was complete between 2013 and 2017. There is nothing that has ever completed because others were just on course, as he's aware. He has worked with government.
But we're not questioning the projects, Senator. We're questioning who was behind them. When there were successes, were they together or is it one person?
That is why I'm just saying in simple words, when they were together, there were a lot of successes and most of achievements were done then. Even all these issues of SGR and many others within were completed then. So now let
me take over because it was my time.
Okay.
You see, I want to expose what has now become a categorical lie, whereby you say success ni yetu, but failure ni ya
yeah.
And when you talked about in your statement earlier on that William Ruto wants to get back into reviving the economy, when did the economy start faltering? You know, the economy, did it start faltering because of the handshake? Or did it start faltering before the handshake or after the handshake? You know, the reality is that these two fellas, if I can call them that, forgive me for calling them that, but it's lingo on the street. These two fellas ran for re-election together at a time when the unemployment rate was rising. People are still looking for work. The economy was dipping. You need to understand that economic cycles work in 3 to 4 years. It's a cycle. It's not that something happens today and then it's affected tomorrow. What we are suffering today is what happened in 2021, what happened several years ago. It is not what is happening yesterday. So I think your team needs to get away from this hypocrisy of always saying that the success ni yetu, but the failure ni ya Uhuru. So if there is any success, ni ya Uhuru Kenyatta na William Ruto. If there is any failure in the economy, ni ya Uhuru Kenyatta na William Ruto. You are the people we elected into office. And if William Ruto feels that he has to revive the economy because it has failed because of the handshake or whatever, then he should detach himself from that system completely. Because you can't be part of the system as deputy president with motorcades and everything and the powers and still say, I'm going to revive the economy that my partner has ruined, while that's your partner still in government, and say, he is my partner, if he goes, I go. You know, there's that hypocrisy. Wanacheza na akili za watu. So just get in there. I'm speaking from a neutral perspective, you know, not taking either side, you know, because things have been good, but all things have been tough in this country. Now this question about interest, about the phone call to
Equity.
This is very dangerous. And when I saw it, I got worried. Chapter 6 of the Constitution is very clear that public officers should not tell lies. And William Ruto is a state officer. And he categorically said on television that he called Equity and a loan of 15 billion was given to this man. Equity Bank itself has come up and said there's no documentation, they don't know this person, and they hardly give loans of more than 2 billion to an individual, etc, etc. Which now lends the question is, who is lying? I don't expect a man and a leader of the stature of William Ruto to lie and deceive the country. So is there a miscommunication? So I'm expecting William Ruto to come out clearly and explain who he called and how he called and where the loan was. Because if he doesn't do that, then the rest of us clear thinking on 90 will say that Ruto is a liar. Do you want a liar in State House? Do you want a liar as a deputy president of this country? Can that qualify to be a gross violation of the Constitution according to Chapter 6 and others? Is he opening himself up to ridicule and possible impeachment? So this is something that I urge him to come out and clearly tell Kenyans. Yeah. Did he lie? Was he taking an advantage? And the other thing, even as we talk about loans, let me take a few minutes here to explain something about economics, because we talk about politics all the time. And I think, Jared, you'll understand this clearly because you know how it is on the ground right now. I've realized that a lot of our people in this country do not understand why they are poor. They are poor because the state of the economy is such that they do not have money. There's something which is called the minimum propensity to spend. Yeah. That is the ability for you to have enough money to spend. There is what you call a disposable income, more money. What Kenyans are suffering from now is that the way the economy is set, the consumer spending, money going around is not there. So people are not spending and they are not saving. You see, when people tend to spend, or when they're not spending, they're saving. Kenyans are not spending and they're not saving because there's no money in circulation, because the consumer systems, and you look at it, interest rates, and I'm bringing it up because of this Equity story. Yeah. I mean, what is the minimum base, what they call base interest rates in Kenya? It's 7%. In the UK currently, it is 0.1%. 0.1%. If you buy a house today, or you get a loan to build a house, huko nyumbani kwako, as a young person, you are married, you have children, what is the interest rate that you will pay if you are in the United Kingdom, whether you're a Kenyan or not a Kenyan? In the UK, you will pay a maximum of 2.58 or 3% at most interest rates. In Kenya, you are lucky if it's not 13 or 14%. That means majority of the money is going to the banks. It's making the banks richer. You're getting poorer. You have less money to spend and on enjoyment of life. So we want leadership in this country that understands both micro and macroeconomics. It's not a matter of just talking about trickle-down economics or wheelbarrow and bottom-up. We want leadership that understands why Kenyans are suffering. But how do you equate this, how do you bring back the interest rates? How do you expand the base? That is a discussion that we need to spend one time and discuss, because otherwise we'll be getting people getting phone calls and getting 15 billion shillings, while the normal mwananchi out there working at Juakali cannot even get 100,000 shillings to expand their business so it can grow. So it becomes a country of the rich becoming richer, with phone calls being made for the rich to continue being richer, while the poor are becoming poorer and poorer, and they're being deceived. And I get very emotional about this, because poverty is painful.
Gerard Gay, who is fooling who here?
Where?
On this issue of Equity Bank.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the economy, because the president once said US that economy is stupid. But from where I don't see any business that a parliamentary committee should have with such an issue, because we have more serious issues, and the chair of finance should have concentrated on other issues, like looking at finance bill and ensuring our taxes. Kenyans are not overtaxed. And I agree with Governor Mutua that this is one of in this country we are heavily overtaxed from both sides. But beside that is that, this is a matter that should have been between Equity, their clients, and their businesses. But I think the Deputy President said as much as he could. And, you know, there is what we call client privilege and client confidence. So from where, and you remember I watched that reply from the Equity, the representative of Equity, I think Warui or somebody, that indicated that he has several board members and he's not aware where that phone call, whether that phone call has been made among the board members. But from where I sit, I don't think it is an issue that should concern us, because Equity themselves have admitted that they don't have they don't have a bank account by the name of Arun. That is number one. Number two is that Equity is allowed to trade in Eastern Central Africa. These are private and commercial entities, so they can do business with anybody so long as you meet your requirements. Even you or Jared or anybody else or governor can work to Equity, and we have always guaranteed, even personally, even in Bunge, there is what we call Pakoso. When I want some loan, Jared, if he's a member, can guarantee for me. Yeah. So in many cases, people have always guaranteed or put in a good word for a friend or so. So from where I sit, I think this is a matter that should not even be brought to the national attention, because Equity is a private commercial entity where they do their business. Right. If it was a government money, finally, if it was a government money that was being, maybe it was a government agency, let's say it's a government bank, yeah, owned, or a government shareholder government bank, and therefore we could have said maybe there was a use of abuse of office where you are using the office to use government so that myself or anybody here can access money. Yeah. But this is just a commercial entity. It is just like RMS when they want to do business with anybody. It's a commercial, so long as they follow the banking rules and banking laws. Now the issue should be if the central bank, which is the regulator, and if the Equity Bank did violate Banking Act, then now that becomes a serious issue. But so long as this, the Equity has admitted that there is no account by the name of Arun. Number two is they trade in Eastern Central Africa, yeah, and therefore they can do any commercial venture within. And finally, I feel this is a way of trying and intimidating and blackmailing some of the banks that we have in this country, especially private entities. Yeah. We should allow private sector to grow on their own, so long as they maintain and follow regulations that have been provided by the country. Okay. That is it. But allow them to do business.
Just a yes or no. You don't think there's a problem when the deputy president says one thing and it is the bank says something completely different?
Who is lying?
But I've told you what Warui said, that he is not aware of any phone call, and he said if there was any phone call, he will still to go back and check with the board members. If they were going, so you can check answer. That side of the of that committee is available.
15 billion shillings. You don't think they would know?
No, but he said that he's not the only one that runs the bank. He says he has board members unless he cross-checks his facts. So let's go with that answer, because it was in the public domain. You can still play that clip if you get time, and you hear what he said.
Maybe Ruto can tell us who he called. Because if William Ruto, with all due respect, if Honorable His Excellency William Ruto does not come out clearly and tell Kenyans who he called and which account he was dealing with, then he will be a liar. That means he's deceiving us. I don't think he is. I'm giving him benefit of doubt. But he needs to come clearly as a leader of such national importance and tell us who he called to get a loan of 15 billion. Because it is good, because if William Ruto can call you and you get a loan of 15 billion, we need to troop to his office so he can be able to call banks and get us smaller loans. You know, even $1 million or $2 or $500,000 or 200,000 to build a biashara, because it's very hard to get loans. But he needs to tell Kenyans, did he make that phone call? And if he made that phone call, who did he call in Equity? Because we need to clear the air here. Because this is an issue of integrity. It is an issue of, is he telling the truth? Is he lying to Kenyans? And if he's not lying to Kenyans, let him prove to Kenyans then who he called, what was the transactions, what are the documents, which was the account, what was the biashara, what was the money being wired, was it being spent in Kenya, or was it being taken to a different country? It's good for us to clear that, because if he doesn't do that, then in my eyes and in the eyes of many people, he'll be lying. Okay. And that is not true.
Can I finish what I was saying? Because can I finish what I was saying?
You know, you're throwing it to Equity. Equity has confidentiality of clients. Equity has come out and said they are not aware of that conversation. So Now it has shifted. It is the time for Ruto to clarify, say, yes, they are not aware, but I did this, so that he's not seen as a liar.
Can I finish because I was cut off?
I haven't spoken.
I will sit ground when appropriate. What is that William Ruto is not the bank manager in Equity. So he can't know bank details of any client. That is the business of the bank. Number two is that William Ruto will always speak on his own, and he has done before. So whenever you have him on the show, sometimes you can ask them some questions. But from where I sit is that those are issues that I have already stated, that if Governor Alfred Mutua wants to know the bank details of such individual, in fact, it was a specific individual that it was said the deportee Arun was Ayadin was the one being given loan through allegedly by being saying that the deputy president. That question was asked by a chairperson of finance, that are you aware of this person? The Equity says we don't have a bank account. So why would you want us to work in the dark and crop and try to say so and so? So from where I sit, I don't think it is relevant at this point in time. It is just politics.
Okay. Trevor, my brother here is at pains to explain a very simple thing. But before I get
happiness.
The governor, my good governor, Dr. Mutua, did ask him a very important question, so that he could enumerate certain successes that their government has so far achieved. To my surprise, he has mentioned a road in Nandi as the only success. And you know, this is what we have always held. That Deputy President William Ruto, given a chance, would only take things back to his backyard. He doesn't look at Kenya as a one unitary society. He's looking at his backyard. Look at the composition of the cabinet. When he was given a chance by President Uhuru Kenyatta to also appoint certain people in cabinet, look at where he went to. He went back home and picked his cronies from the villages, from his own native villages. And President Uhuru Kenyatta now had to juggle the half part of the government to look at the face of Kenya, and it wasn't easy at all. Look at the composition of the PSS, the boards that exist in this country. People that Deputy President Ruto gave these jobs. His own native Kalenjins. I'm not saying Kalenjins should not get jobs, but I'm saying as a deputy president, you have to look at this country wholesome, not going back into the village. But you have thrown a very important question to him. And I've known Cherargei as a very close friend of the deputy president. And coming to this show, he ought to have known that this is going to feature, because Kenyans have been grappling with this idea, grappling for answers around this Harun Aidin individual and his transaction with the deputy president. So he comes here having not called the deputy president, and now he is flip-flopping, you know, filibustering over a very important issue that the Kenyans were waiting to get an answer. It is the deputy president himself who came out to say, unprovoked, that he was going to Uganda, he made phone calls to Equity Bank, and by that account, 15 billion shillings was expended to this guy. He didn't say it was in the pipeline. He said it was already expended to the deputy, Harun Aidin. This touches on the conduct of the deputy president. It is not about the phone calls or what. It is about his conduct as a person, the character. And my good governor here has talked about Chapter 6 of our Constitution that pays a lot of credence on the character of individuals occupying state offices. So if deputy president can come out to lie as a pathological liar to this degree, firstly, the bank is saying their loan portfolio only stands at 2.5 billion. So even if a phone call was made, it could not have gone beyond 2.5 billion. But again, who would give you money on account of a phone call? Not even a single documentation. That brings into the germane issue here. Was there 15 billion shillings that was suspect? Was there dirty money somewhere that needed some banking transaction to be cleansed so that it becomes some good money, you know, what is commonly called money laundering? Was there somebody going to engage in a clandestine business in Uganda that is so illegal that they had to scatter around banks and make phone calls and torpedo banking regulations so that this could. So I think with the statement from Equity Bank yesterday, the DCI needs to take up this matter. The Deputy President must be called to go and explain, just the same way I saw Wiper Party leader presenting himself yesterday to clear the air around some land issue. The Deputy President must appear before the DCI, tell us how 15 billion shillings left Equity without any documentation. Tell us why the money was heading to Uganda anyway, as a Deputy President who should be investing here. Let us get to know, as the Kenyan people, why amidst rooftop calls on Hustler Nation, he only looks for those who are already established to do businesses with, to the detriment of the real hustlers. And my brother has said, let us all queue in his office so that he makes phone calls. We can get 1 million. 1 billion is way too far. 15 billion is beyond our limit. We will only line up to get 1 million each to stabilize the economy of this country, not the economy of Uganda. So we still have more questions to put to the Deputy President, but I think with this most important revelation from Equity, that provides a fodder for the DCI now to rope him in.
Can I say something before you go to break?
Now, then I come back because this is based on commercials. When we come back now, we'll talk about the IBC dilemma. We'll move away from Deputy President William Ruto. Court of Appeal said that they were not quorate. What does that mean for all the other decisions that were made without quorum? Back in the bit. We see a lot of your feedback. Keep them coming at Trevor Mbidi at Citizen TV Kenya. #Daybreak. We'll read some of them when we come back from the break.